Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll hear a song from Carrie Noble. But first, joining me now is an author, David Packard, who wrote a book here called Visions of the Prairie, My North Dakota Journey. And a great book here. And David, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Very pretty pictures in here we're going to talk about. First off, as we get started, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're originally from.
Okay, well, I'm a Grand Forks native. I graduated from UND in 1977 and began a teaching career that spanned about 29 years. First starting in Lakota, North Dakota, and then went on to Mandan Junior High, and then I finished my teaching career as a regular classroom instructor in Larimore in 2007.
Okay. Well, now, what got you interested in photography?
You know, as an artist and as an art instructor, I think photography has always been a medium that I've been intrigued with. As far as me personally getting involved with photography, back in the mid-'80s, I had an opportunity to take a trip overseas and spent about a month over in Europe and borrowed a camera. And at that, when I got back, I said, well, wait a minute, you know, I really enjoyed shooting those particular locations, but it was time for me to get my own. And so I purchased a 35mm camera, and as soon as I got it, I had friends in Mandan that were showing me the back roads of the hills in Mandan, and I would go out to the slough sometimes and just kind of get there during these wonderful times of day, and it really kind of started getting me hooked on really observing and enjoying photographing the area. And living originally in Grand Forks, when I took trips back home, I just always found that taking those quiet back roads were really enjoyable.
Well, with that said, tell us a little bit about your book and the 20-year journey it took to get it published.
Well, the 20-year journey actually is that the photographs in the book encompass 20 years. Okay. Some of my first images are in the early 90s, and the last image in the book I photographed last spring. And I've been marketing my North Dakota photography for over the last 20 years through the Pride of Dakota organization, and primarily doing note cards, prints, and different types of gift products. And over the years, I've had some people say, well, you know, I've been buying your cards for years. When are you going to put it into a book? And, you know, I heard that on a number of occasions, and it really kind of set the idea of, well, maybe it might be time to really kind of capture all this into one book type format.
Well, you know, you talked about a 35mm camera. So what kind of equipment are you using now?
You know, I've just gone into a digital format camera, Canon 50D, which is one that was a leap for me, you know, to kind of move into. I felt I was really kind of a holdout over many years because it didn't really happen until the last 4 or 5 years, and it's certainly been an excellent addition to my photography equipment. But I still, you know, also have my 35mm as a backup that I use too.
So you do. Now your travels, you talked about the back roads, and but what kind of shots are you looking for when you're traveling?
Well, you know, when I talk to people that are from North Dakota and many that have left North Dakota, there's those people that left North Dakota really yearn to see those images that remind them of home. I had a gentleman who called me regarding the book a month ago, and he lives in Vermont, and he says, you know, I really want to get your book because in Vermont where I live, we don't see sky. You know, it's just not the way it is in North Dakota. And so a lot of the people that I reach are people that have left North Dakota for various reasons, or people in North Dakota that might want to send them off to family or relatives, or just a reminder how special North Dakota is.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, you use the poetry from Terry Jacobson in the book also. Mm-hmm. Can you talk just we're going to have him on in just a few minutes, but what about that collaboration?
Well, you know, when I decided that I was going to put a book together, I didn't want it to be just strictly a photography book, but I really wanted it to be a book that would speak to people not only with my images, but also with some sort of writing or verse. And I knew Terry through his wife. We have an artist co-op gallery in Michigan, and who she's a member, and she said, well, Terry has some poetry books he's been writing for some time. Can we have them in the store? And I know I really fell in love with his passion and the way he uses his verse, and they seem to work so well with telling the whole prairie story along with the images that I have in the book.
Oh, sure. So what has been the reaction so far to your book?
You know, it's been extremely positive. It was a situation where my book was unfortunately delayed in its publication. Came out about the second week of December, and of course, you know, before the holiday season, it was kind of a crazy time. But you know, I'm finding that people really enjoy the book for a variety of reasons. It's very nostalgic. It reminds them of their childhood or their grandparents. I see people look at the book and they say, well, you know, that looks just like my barn, except maybe the lean-to was here or whatever. And so it makes me feel really good that it's connecting to people emotionally and responding that way.
You told us about your teaching career. Can you talk some about being an art educator in North Dakota?
Well, you know, it's been a terrific career. In fact, I'm actually continuing that, not necessarily on a regular basis. I've been doing independent artist in residency work in several towns, and now I'm affiliated with the North Dakota Artist in Residency Program in Bismarck, and it's really kind of opened up a whole new invigorating world for me to go back into the classroom. Typically my experience has been with students in grades 7 through 12, and I'm now working with pre-K through grade 6 along with the older students. So it's been a real spark for me, and I'm hoping to do more artist in residency work in the future.
Well, with that said, you and your wife have started an art gallery in your hometown, or in your home in Michigan there?
Yes.
What about that?
Well, about 13 years ago, there was a property right along the highway that was available, and I was asked if I wanted to possibly use it for my own personal artwork. And I was a full-time teacher, and we just decided, we had a number of friends that were artists, and decided, well, a co-op is really a terrific way of putting it all together. And currently we have between 50 and 60 North Dakota artisans that are a part of our little gallery. We include some Pride of Dakota gift products, North Dakota authors, musicians, and a real eclectic kinds of things. We call it Heritage Arts Gallery because we really wanted to also focus on the heritage artisans and craftsmen that, you know, that oftentimes you're not seeing anymore, or you're kind of sort of losing as the generations pass.
You talk about how as a child you felt like a fish out of water in rural areas or on farms, but yet something changed and you seem to like the wide open spaces. Was there a transformation?
Well, you know, I think part of it's just being a kid, you know, going with your parents on a Sunday afternoon, probably rather wanting to stay at home and playing with your friends, and going out to the family farm. At that time, they didn't have any children our age. It was just kind of foreign territory in a way. And as I got older, I just really started to appreciate those types of places. As a young adult, I spent many years refinishing old furniture, and then my wife and I, she appreciates the same things. We moved to Michigan because we found a wonderful old Victorian home. So we really have kind of a connection to the past, and so the churches and the barns and the elevators are all really a part of our heritage. And I think I look at the book too as a means of really documenting what we have. And unfortunately what we're losing. So I think it's an important a way of keeping hold of those kinds of images.
Well, you just blew my next question. The old structures like those churches and barns, they interest you in preserving the history? Is that part of it? Or?
Well, you know, that's certainly a part of it. I've been a member of Preservation North Dakota for a number of years, my wife and I have. And we just really believe it's important. It's important to really sort of salvage that heritage. And if prairie churches, for example, cannot be used as a church anymore, how can they continue to be a part of the prairie and other kinds of formats, however they might use those structures?
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people when they're out just driving around sometimes don't even pay attention to them, or they just miss them.
And that does happen. I think the nice thing about my photography over the last 20 years is that I've gotten really a terrific opportunity to visit with other people that have the same passion as I do. And you share stories about different locations you might have visited, or they might tell you, well, have you seen the church that's over in, you know, southern Ransom County? And it's just a really nice sense of appreciation. And I hope the book also provides people an opportunity to get a closer look at the prairie. We have very simple beauty on the prairie, and oftentimes without really looking a little closer, you miss it.
And sometimes I've heard you go back for a second or third opportunity to photograph the same spot. Why is that?
Well, in photographing images, you often find that really light is really crucial to the overall impact of the image. And you might go to a specific location and find that, I'm glad I'm here and I'm glad I found this structure, but it really should be an afternoon shot when you're there in the morning. And to really do justice to the image and of what you really want to capture, it means you probably have to go there to a second or possibly third time to give justice to to that particular image or that particular structure.
Okay. Well, we're going to have Terry on in just a moment, but if people want to get information on your book or want to get a copy of your book, where can they go?
Well, if they'd like more information on the book, they can contact me at my personal website, which is www.pastimeprints.com. I do have it in a number of locations throughout North Dakota. Fargo-Moorhead area has it in a variety of locations. And if you would like to know where the book might be closer to your area, certainly they can contact me and I would let them know where they can pick it up.
Well, David, thank you so much for joining us today, and stay tuned. We'll have Terry Jacobson in just a moment. And we're back, and joining me now is Terry Jacobson, a collaborator on the book with David, and of course the name of the book was Visions of the Prairie, My North Dakota Journey. And Terry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
As we get you on board, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your background.
I'm a farmer up in northeastern North Dakota. My hometown is Langdon, and our farm is just out of Langdon. Janet and I farm an organic farm, and it's been organic for over 30 years. So I've lived all my life in North Dakota.
Okay. Well, what got you involved in poetry?
I started writing poetry in college, and then when I got a chance to start farming, then I was so busy I didn't write much poetry, and I kind of thought maybe that was something that was just something I did in college, and then all of a sudden something happened that just had to be expressed, and so I sat down and wrote a poem about it, and just have never stopped.
Interesting. I heard a lot about cowboy poets, but
This
now
would
a
be
farmer poet.
Yeah.
So, what kind of poetry do you consider that you like to write about?
I write a lot about the rural perspective, the beauty I see around me, and I have some poems that look at policy or the changing landscape, so that some are more political in nature. The ones in the book I selected to go with pictures that David had selected for the book so that they worked together. And so I didn't do the political type poems. They're more poems about the beauty of North Dakota.
Well, with that said then, so how did you get involved with David in collaborating on this book?
My wife Janet is one of the members of the cooperative where David sells these books and his art as well, the Artists Collaborative. And so we met through that, and then eventually I started selling. I have written 2 poetry books, and so I started selling them through that Heritage Art Gallery as well.
Okay, but did you feel like this was a natural transition for you to do this, or
when David
was it something different?
When David talked to me about a year ago about doing it, in the first place, I was honored to even be asked to collaborate, and secondly, I just thought that will really be fun, and it has been really fun to work together, and it's just it's been really fun working together and selecting and thinking through the process. And then Janet worked as kind of an editor for the book, and then my daughter Anna, who's has a master's degree in art, helped with the layout of the book. So it was actually even a larger collaboration than just the 2 of us.
Okay. Well, with that said, can you read a few passages for us?
Okay. The first one I chose for reading is The Beauty of the Prairie, and I think it relates a lot to the overall theme of the book. The beauty of the prairie. The beauty of the prairie is subtle, more humble than the mountains or the seashores. The beauty of the prairie is not powerful and overwhelming as the forest or the great rivers. The beauty of the prairie is in the small wildflowers and wildlife that appear from almost nowhere. The beauty of the prairie unfolds in the drama of a storm moving over time and miles, the huge sky announcing what is to come. The beauty of the prairie plays out in the gradual changing artscape of dawn and dusk, moving the heart deeply. The subtle beauty of the prairie can be found in the wetlands or stream beds, in small groupings of trees, a rich habitat for prairie creatures. The subtle beauty of the prairie can be easily missed if your eyes and your mind aren't open to it.
Very nice, very nice. So Ian, I think you've got a couple more. We've got a little bit of time, so let's see if we can get them both in here.
Harvest Dusk. This is one that relates a lot to a farmer perspective. Okay. The haze, the fine dust, engulfing combines, flowing lazily over the countryside, hangs dreamlike over the land as dusk approaches. The smell of chaff, mature grain, the climax of the season caresses my nose with a sense that things are as they should be just now. As harvest rolls on full bore in the mid-fall dryness after worrisome early dampness, the soft yellow light in the soft yellow air, mingled with warm feelings, thrill a farmer more than I can describe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I think we've got time here for one more.
This one's a humorous one, and I love cows. I love raising cows, so I hope that comes out in this poem. Hard choices. My cows tell me, with some impatience, since they have been making the point for 2 days, standing at the gate to the next pasture each morning, that they are tired of the skimpy feed left in this pasture. I tell them it's not ready yet. As cool weather and rain slow the pasture growth, I'm fencing clover as a temporary relief, but rain and reunions conspire to delay the project. My mother highly values families and lives that out, expecting her children to value families too. And now my cows need new pasture that isn't ready as generations of my family gather. I'm caught between my mother and my cows.
Well, bad place to be. Terry, I tell you what, I hope you and David have great success with the book, and thanks so much for joining us.
The reception of the book and the compliments we've received about how the poetry and pictures work together has been really rewarding.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Stay tuned for more. Carrie Noble chose to live in Minneapolis because of its strong artistic and musical community. After years of recording and touring, she's especially proud of the album that reflects her own personal style. Carrie performed a few of these original songs here in our studio, so sit back and enjoy.
There you are again. I see you all the time. We haven't really met, but you know I don't mind. 'Cause I think today's a day I'm gonna go right up and say to you, would it be alright if I called you up sometime? There you go again. Let you get away. At least I got more time to think of what I might say. Like, well, couldn't we be good? Maybe don't you think that we should find some quiet little place where we'd make love all day? Come and talk to me. What are you waiting for? 'Cause I can see you passing every day. I'm always wanting more. just talk to you. You know I love the type. You look like you've been up all night and somehow still look beautiful. You do it all at the same time. Whenever you walk by, you always look me in the eyes, and in that moment I know the same thing's on your mind. Come and talk to me. What are you waiting for? 'Cause I can see you passing every day. I'm always wanting more. Come and talk to me. What are you gonna do? 'Cause I can't seem to get the nerve to get off my own ass. Just talk to you. I wanna talk to you. It always seems to be that I let the good things pass by because I let my fear just stop me, but not this time. Come and talk to me. What are you waiting for? 'Cause I can see you passing every day. I'm always wanting more. Come and talk to me. What are you gonna do? 'Cause I can't seem to get the nerve to get off my own ass. Just talk to you. I wanna talk to you. I love you. I've been flying solo up in the wide and open blue, and I answer to no one. I just fly where I want to. And you might think it could get lonely when the rain is pouring down. I don't mind. I was not made to live on the ground. I used to dream about a big red balloon, and I would hold onto the string, and it would take me to the moon. And you might think it could get lonely when the rain is pouring down. I don't mind. I was not made to live on the ground. I used to wonder what it would take to make this dream come true. I had to learn to stop dreaming and start believing what I could do.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funding for Minnesota Legacy programs are provided by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, and by the members of Prairie Public.